Welcome to the Practice You podcast. My name is Elena Brower. Together, we'll explore and enjoy content and conversations around mastering transitions. In our relations, our wellness, our careers, our families, and especially in our missions and visions. You are invited to learn and love and listen with me. Welcome to Practice You. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with my partner, James Benard. What a pleasure.
Great to be here.
Collecting difficult moments in relationship is our topic, and I thought it would be interesting. We're sort of spontaneous and sort of not. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about how important it is to, instead of dramatizing a hard time, to actually collect those hard times, to see the teaching in each of them, and to move forward with each other when you do have a hard time with a little more information, new information. I have the inspiration that came for this was from when you, many, many months ago, got in front of our team. I have a doTERRA team, beautiful network marketing team, many thousands of families all over the world. And James got up in front of us on a video and began to teach live about how important it is to collect no's, to collect rejections as you move through your business. And we were all kind of, cocking our heads to the side going, what is he talking about? And what we learned from you has been invaluable to the whole team. It is be out there so much that you get as many no's, as many rejections as you can, because that means in the midst of all those rejections, you're going to get really true yeses.
Right. It means you're pushing yourself. You're out on your edge. You're exploring new territory. And anytime you're pushing that way, you're expanding.
Right.
So no's are actually very positive. And I don't think you can have true good yeses without a lot of no's.
Right. And I have this beautiful piece by our friend Diego, also known as Young Pueblo, that I think drives this entire little episode. I want a love that doesn't break, one that gives me water when I am consumed by fire, one that offers me shelter when I am lost, one that helps me see that the hero I am looking for is me.
So beautiful. I love that.
He called it partners.
It's perfect. It's really quite the opposite of codependence. That's talking about being radically independent and coming into a relationship with your partner as a full individual person.
Yes. And helping the other person see that the hero they're actually looking for is not you, it's themselves.
Correct. So it's two individual people coming together and creating a third thing, which is a couple.
You're reading this book called Self-Therapy right now, which is really the culmination of 4 or 5 years of really strong work that you've done on yourself, and I'm really proud of you about it. This book has helped both of us, actually, and I'm not even reading it. You're just explaining it to me as you go, which is how the tables have turned. And I thought it might be nice for you to talk about how all the parts of ourselves that you're reading about in this book and learning about, all these parts of ourselves come together in coupleship, sometimes to great effect, and sometimes to a very deleterious effect, because the parts of ourselves that are coming together are sometimes unresolved, unhealed children. Furthermore, each one of those parts of ourselves has what's called a protector. And so I just thought that would be interesting to talk about it, because I feel like that happens to us a lot, and we're now learning how funny it is.
It's a really interesting way to decode yourself and also a relationship. Each of us has exiles, which are unresolved portions of ourselves, or traumatic events that we weren't able to process at the time. So what happens is we lock them away and in front of them we put a protector. And a protector could be any series of, let's say, people. One could be an intellectualizer. One could be a firefighter. Everything that we consider to be a defense mechanism is basically a protector.
And that protector is protecting the current version of you from the pain that unresolved child would be feeling.
Correct. So the thought is that the protector is thinks that you're unable to handle, you'd be flooded with the emotions of that younger, unresolved portion of yourself. So the key really is to work from self, to work from your truest, most, who are you when everything is stripped away? Who's the base love person that you are? Work from that point of view. Speak to the protectors, get them to step aside because they can trust you, and then work directly with that exile. And understand the motivation and treat it like an individual person. Actually ask them questions and allow for an answer. It's a beautiful process.
So let's say a couple is having a hard time right now. And one of the couple is listening to this podcast.
We are. Correct.
Okay. And that person is trying to figure out what their motivation is amidst an argument that is really, galling, difficult to them. When they think about it, they begin to see that this is their 7-year-old self. And this 7-year-old self is really sad because they feel abandoned, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And it turns out that they figure out that the person who's actually in the argument with their partner is this protector of that 7-year-old self. And it turns out furthermore that there are 2 protectors having the argument.
Or I could bring 3 protectors to the argument. I could bring any number of protectors. So it becomes quite a complicated scenario.
Right. But I'm just saying in the moment of the argument, it's really not the people having the argument. It's not the couple having the argument. It's the protectors.
Right.
That to me is saving my life. Because now I see that it's not you and me having some sort of, dramatic disagreement. It's the protector of the unresolved child in me.
Correct.
And the protector of the unresolved child in you. In these 2 households that were, yours was, I think, a little bit worse than mine. I hate to say it, but pretty volatile. And here we are, 40 years later, 50 years later, getting into altercations that aren't really belonging to us.
Correct. I think very often arguments are just misunderstandings. So you might say something. I grew up in an addicted household. I took a lot of verbal abuse, and that made me extremely sensitive to criticism. So you might say something that is just a remark, but I might view it as criticism. That sets off a trigger in me. My protector steps in, blends with me, and takes over the conversation. I might say something that triggers you, and then your protector steps in, blends with you, and then we have the 2 protectors battling it out. At the heart of it, you and I love each other, and if we can get all of the static out of the air and just come back to that, we're in good shape. So often arguments are misunderstandings. They're just, I thought I heard one thing, you heard something else, and then down it goes.
Right. And I think one of the most important things that we've learned from all the work that we've done, particularly with the Handel Group,
Absolutely,
is to apologize as soon as possible and forgive as soon as possible so that nothing can simmer or fester in the relationship.
Apology is important, but I think I have to step up and say, hey, I got my feelings hurt there. There's no apology without someone coming forward and expressing their feelings. So locking it away and not saying it, or putting it away, holding a grudge, is a very dangerous scenario.
Right. And that's something you've been working on a lot. And it's not been easy for you to express anger. But you are now.
Or even just expressing needs.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what you said, can you say that again? Because it hurt my feelings.
Right.
And then often, oh, it's the end of the month, or I'm busy, don't, don't take that personally.
All the people in doTERRA just started laughing really hard.
Yeah.
The end of the month. Here's the thing. There's a function within us that wants to protect us. There's a function within us that needs to, set a boundary or ask for what we need. Mm-hmm. And there's a function within us that just needs love.
Right.
And all these things need to be nurtured.
One of the things that I've been working on is accessing my anger. For me, that was very difficult. I had a hard time growing up, and I didn't believe that I had a right to be angry about anything. I had to make sure everybody else was okay. I was a placater. So my defense mechanism was, are you okay? Are you okay? Everything's okay? Good. So it was hard for me to express my own needs or certainly get angry. I was so afraid of anger. But over the years, I've learned that it's a healthy boundary. It helps if something is being taken away from you. Healthy anger can be really good. It's often viewed as a negative emotion, but it's not. I think it is one of the 5 basic emotions.
I think if you're listening to this and you're feeling like you resonate with what James is saying, this is a good practice for you, just practice feeling your anger. Practice expressing it in healthy ways. I have a bone in my body which is the exact opposite of this, which is I have no problem expressing my anger. In fact, it's too much often. And I've learned over the last probably 10 years now how to mitigate it, and I'm getting better all the time, but that's definitely, I'm the opposite of this. And so in a couple, in terms of when we have a difficult moment, what I'm learning is how can I be more awake to who is actually angry in here? What part of me is angry in here? That's been the revelation of the last couple months. And I start to see the part of me that's angry has nothing to do with the current me, like who I am in this moment. It's some tiny I with a little dot on top of it that belongs to the past.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's important information if you're listening to this and you're feeling like, oh, I don't express anger enough, or, oh, I do express anger too much. Look deeply inside. And we'll post the links to the book, Self-Therapy, because I think it's really well written and easy to follow. And there's actually workbooks I think I saw on Amazon. Look deeply inside and see who is speaking or feeling or thinking for you at any given moment. And know that the difficult moment that you seem to be gathering up right now is actually for your greatest, highest good.
I also want to point out, though, that I think let's say your fire or your anger and my temperance, my water, they come together very well. And I think that part of the reason that we work as a couple is because there's a polarity between us. And over time, as I've been discovering my anger, or as I've been changing, I think our roles are shifting, and you're allowing yourself to be more subdued, more, dare I say, feminine, and I'm becoming more masculine. So it's a dance, and like all healthy couples, you have to change and you have to shift with each other and grow. And I believe that our polarities are shifting in a really healthy way. I love seeing you in your dresses.
I haven't stopped wearing dresses for 5 years now.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think in a healthy relationship, it's not a planet with a sun going around it. It's two suns, and one sun can circle the other sun, and then the other can. You can do a dance where you switch it off. And I think we're entering a healthy phase now where I have enough weight that we're really starting to shift roles in a beautiful way.
I agree with that.
I lead, you lead.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. It's a passing of a baton in a beautiful way.
I agree. I'm glad and grateful.
So am I.
I think if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little lost in your coupleship, in your partnership, just take the time, as we said, to look through yourself and see what unresolved part of you is acting and what protector is trying to protect that unresolved part of you. It's such a good practice, and it's so interesting, and it does take time. So if you have a meditation practice, it's probably nice to take some time after your meditation to write about this, because that's when you're most open and most available in your heart space. And there's one other book that I wanted to mention that Aneta gave us called We Do by Stan Tatkin. And it's teaching us how to sort of build a container of our relationship that has been very comforting and also empowering to us as a unit. Because the individuality is, of course, super important, but the teachings in this book lead to creating what he calls a couple bubble, which I think is really nice.
Love
and
it.
A lot of couples I see, they don't take care of each other in public. And they do in private, perhaps.
Maybe.
But I see all the time, the man is sort of like hilariously putting the woman down in public and everybody laughs, but really it's not that funny.
No, that's an insecurity.
Or the woman puts her man down in public and says something, in a way to ridicule him, and that's not pretty.
Not at all.
So I believe this book is actually a very good resource if you're going through that as well. It's
a nice way to write a contract. So it's really for newlyweds or people who are entering into the marriage agreement. It sets out really good guidelines for how to, it's almost like a constitution. You're creating a country together. What are we going to do? How are we going to manage this? Yeah, it's a beautiful resource.
Even though we're never getting married.
Never.
I do love you, though.
I still love you to death.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you were able to sit down with me today. Hopefully we can do this again on some other topics.
I would love that.
And I love you very much.
Love you too.
Thank you for listening.